Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Sweden or Bust. Now, in the last episode, how far did we get? We got up to, well, it was the first game of the season against IFK. That was where we started things off. Now, we have had an odd month, and frankly not a month that I'm particularly pleased about, if I'm to be perfectly honest. I was hoping, obviously IFK are, as much as they've had a poor season last year, I felt that they were actually predicted to do quite well this year, and there's a reason for that, I think, as we found out. And Helsingborg obviously ran us all the way to the title last year, but there were some winnable games in there too, and I feel that maybe we should have done better than we have. But we're going to dive straight into the games, and I think we'll start off by showing you the highlighted game. And I think, obviously, most goals in the episode has got to come from the AIK one, which would make perfect sense, to be honest. And I was very disappointed in our performance in this one because, let's face it, things were going quite well and then it really did mess up so badly. Anyway, I will see you guys in the highlights. Right, here we are. And yeah, okay, it was AIK away from home, which is obviously always going to be a difficult task. I think we drew 0-0 here last year because I overestimated them. We got off to a decent, we got off to the best start possible. It was Zofchak smashing us 1-0 up within the first sort of 11-12 minutes of the game, and I thought, yeah, okay, fair dues. But then unfortunately we gave away a penalty and we allowed them to level the game up, which was annoying. But at this point we were doing quite well in the game and they hadn't really got into the game yet, so that was sort of the kicker for them. Thankfully, well, I say thankfully, at the time anyway, we were able to win the ball back off of them eventually, although I have certainly been needing to make some tactical changes to get things to work for us properly. We managed to win the ball back off them, Malangu's ball in, eventually cleared, but thankfully we are quite a relentless side. We do seem to keep coming at teams. Good ball in there to Malic, who manages to hold the ball up well, playing that target man role nicely. Foman's cross in, this time Goossens with a beautiful header running in from the side, and just before half-time, 2-1 up away from home, thinking, yeah, good start to the season. Really, really poor attendance, though, for AIK. That's a surprisingly poor attendance. I guess, do they play in the big stadium? If someone knows the answer to that, let me know. Is it the Friends Arena that they play at? Because that would explain, I suppose, the lower attendances. Anyway, just after the break, 54 minutes played, and AIK are knocking the ball around really, really well, but we managed to win it back. Zofchak gets it in the midfield, running in from that right-hand side, bringing in Malangu to the game. Back to Pekalski, who eventually the ball ends up with Malic. Back to Johansson, slips it through for Zofchak, and Zofchak started off the season brilliantly. He looks like a real, despite his age, he's like a Eastern European Damien Duff is the best way to describe him. He just seems timeless and can really get forward. And then, 3-1 up, going into the last 8 minutes, I decided to try and I wasn't too bothered about chilling on the lead because we were 2 goals to the good with 10 minutes to go. Unfortunately, that happened. And that guy, he just seems to be unstoppable. Goitom just seems to know how to score goals against us. He got 2 against us here last season, I think, he definitely scored twice against us in a game last year. And then, from our own pissing corner, Emil Bergstrom's had a bit of a stuttery start to the season, and the fans are getting on his back a little bit, and I'm constantly going to ask press conference questions about him. We did manage to win the ball back initially, only to give it away again very, very quickly. I mean, what is that? Malangu had such great passing for us last year, and he makes mistakes like that. Eventually it ends up with Sonko Sundbor into Atakora, and, well, Goitom nearly manages to win it, and then he does end up winning it, but thankfully at least he didn't get a hat-trick against us. Oh, wait, yes, he did. My bad. What am I talking about? Of course he did. Very, very frustrating. To be 3-1 up on your first game of the season, away from home, and then to have Henok Goitom score a hat-trick against you. He just seems to have our number, and I don't know how. Maybe we should try and sign this lad up. How good is he, in fact? No, we can't find out. He's 30 years old, but this guy seems to have an innate ability to score goals against us. He's got a twisted ankle now, so solid. But not the best start to the season. It would have been nice to get a win there, but at least we didn't lose. Then things actually got a little bit more positive when we actually managed to beat Norrköping again. And that might not seem like a big deal, but the fact is they've been our bogey team a little bit in the first part of last season. But Malangu's goal, followed up by a John Goossens penalty, which is good to see. And then Ibrahim Adrame got them on back, but thankfully a very, very late own goal from a guy with a massively long name, which is always, that's like 2 own goals. Own goal, long name. Lars Christian Krogersen. Lovely stuff. But we managed to get a win. So 4 points from your first 2 games. Not a big problem. Then we had Örebro in the Svenska Cup quarter-final. Well, we dispatched them. And that was very, very pleasing for me. We dominated the game. And considering they were our main title rivals for a lot of last season, they did not look like it. They took the lead through Kalle Holmberg. But John Goossens, Emil Salomonsson, who's doing brilliantly getting forward from left back. He's very, right back rather. He's great. I really, really like him. And then Goossens again, and then Christoffer Nyman. And he was one of the players I was suggested to bring in. He obviously, with Malec, rested for this game. Decided to start Nyman, and he's got us a goal, so he looks like he could be good too. He gives us a slightly different option. He's still good in the half decent in the air, but nowhere near as good as Malec. He's quite tall, but he's strong. But he's also got a bit of pace about him, so maybe gives us a little bit of a different option if we want to, instead of floating crosses in for Malec to head, to give him more time to get up above people, we could maybe drill some crosses in for Nyman. And that's kind of one of the strategies I'm looking at using. Then we had a very, very disappointing performance away at Helsingborg. We were piss poor, like genuinely awful. Matthias Lindström, David Akam, and Robin Simovic, early goals as well, and there was just nothing I could do. Helsingborg weren't even that good after that point, but we just couldn't break them down. They just sat, and they were just unbeatable in that game. And even with the likes of Malec, I think maybe tactically I needed to start looking at a bit more tinkering during the games, which is something I am going to start doing for the next run of games, just to start really tinkering with stuff to see what works. Start watching matches in 2D rather than 3D, because I'm noticing stuff when I watch them in 2D that I wouldn't have seen if I'd watched it in 3D. So that's important, and I may start doing that and then really tinkering with the instructions and little changes that I can make during the game to hopefully make a big difference for us. Next, Degerfors at home against them as well. This is probably the most disappointing result this season. They're a newly promoted side, and they weren't that great on that. In fact, they were pretty poor. We should have battered them. In fact, we kind of did. We just didn't score a goal, and that's one of the things that we had the problems with last season. I've taken off shoot on sight, so all of these were decent enough chances, and we just couldn't get the ball in the net. Very, very annoying. And of course, that was then suddenly you've got 5 points from your first 4 games. And is sitting 9th in the league, which you're going to see in a minute. We then, though, did manage to redeem ourselves a little bit in my eyes, and that is because Thomas Malec and our heroes, once again, we put one over on Malmö, who just seem to have this inability to beat us in games, and I love it, because that's put us into the cup final again for the 3rd season. Well, if we win it, it'll be the 3rd year in a row that we've won the cup, so that's great to see. And good to see Malec getting on the score sheet. Unfortunately, he did pick up an injury in that game, and he's going to miss a lot of football next month. So hopefully, if I can make the changes I want to make in terms of strategy, maybe start drilling some crosses in towards Nyman and tickling? Yeah, I'm going to tickle with the strategy. Oh, that'll do it. We're going to tinker with the strategy a little bit during the games, a little bit more on the fly, just see if things aren't going our way, and if they are, what can we do to make it better, and how can we hold on to leads a bit more and stop those late goals from being scored against us, because that's something I hated, and it happened a lot to us last year, especially in the Häcken game. And well, we've not got Häcken until June, so that won't be in the next episode either, I don't think. No, I mean the first episode of the episode after that, first match of that episode after that. So this is where the league shapes up at the moment, and as you can see, we're down in 9th place, but it's only 4 games in. Elfsborg, though, just like last year, have had a cracking start and are on the top with 12 points. Djurgården have also had a decent start, and Kalmar last year, they had a decent start too, and they've done so again this year. Helsingborg up there with AIK. Malmö slightly off the pace a little bit, you could say. Our local rivals and new boys, GAIS, are, well, struggling. But then so are Mjällby, both really getting hammered in their first couple of games. Also, good to see, though, look at this guy. Mustafa El Kabir for Häcken, who have had a good start, has scored 8 goals for them in 4 matches. Their goal difference is somehow +9. If they, like, absolutely spanked... They spanked GAIS 7-0. I'm guessing that El Kabir got an absolute hat load in this game. Kind of curious. Bloody hell. He scored 5 goals against GAIS. They are in trouble. They're going to get absolutely spanked this year in every game. I can't believe he scored 5 goals in one game. That's impressive. Wish one of my players could do something like that. Well, let's see how their stats are shaping up as well, in fact, while we're here. Let's have a look at this. Right, let's quickly turn off that lovely old filter that just will not piss off. Right, top appearances, it's 10. Most consistent, basically. Top goal scorer for us is John Goossens with 5, so that's not bad. Malic has got 4 for us, though, and, you know, it's a goal every other game at the moment, or thereabouts, which isn't bad. But it could do with being a little bit better. Malangu also has a couple. Salamonson from right back has got himself 2 goals for us as well, which is good to see. Zofchak and Smet Badalans getting in there. Top assister, that's May Malangu and John Goossens as well. Goossens has had a brilliant start, but he is a bit injury prone, so I fear he may not be able to continue that form when his first injury does come along. He also, well, no, Malic has got 3 Man of the Match awards already, and hopefully they're the first of many, because I think he could genuinely be a monster for us. But I'm not ruling out the possibility of Nyman also stepping up for us if Malic, well, he's going to have to because Malic is injured for a bit. Pass rating? Wow. Pekalski, 86%. That's impressive. Well done, you. He's been very, very solid in that middle, making a decent amount of tackles. Best player on average so far. Well, Nyman, of course, but then if you look at it more like that, it's Hagland and maybe Langu, basically. Though, good to see that when Nyman has played from 1 start and 1 substitute appearance, he's scored a goal and got an assist. So I think he's going to be getting some serious game time. I want to really run this guy and see if he's got what it takes, because I was suggested him. I wasn't totally sure, but now I'm starting to think, yeah, he could really do it. He's not exactly slow, not hugely fast, but he's got decent acceleration, decent finishing, his first touches. I reckon we could get some drilled crosses in there and he might be able to get something on the end of it. Heading isn't too bad. Not great, so maybe drilled low crosses for him to try and smash into the net would be great. So that is about that for this month. Next month, we've got some difficult games, including the cup final against Arvitabel. So that is going to be huge. I think we can beat them. They're not a great side, and I think that's better than playing Malmo in the final. So that's great to see. We've got quite a few games coming up in the next month, so I don't know who we're going to be showing the highlights of. We'll just have to see. Hopefully our form will pick up a little bit and we won't be 9th place in the league come next month, but only time will tell. If you've liked what you've seen, hit the like button. If you'd like to do even more than that, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.